Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reactions. I'm Theta, this is Lessons, and we are here with the somewhat finale of Macross 7, or Macross Dynamite 7 in this case, but
Yeah,
literally all of Macross 7, save for a character ranking,
an
not character
episode.
ranking, yeah, top 5 episodes slash character ranking, or, whatever I actually said versus what I'm going to hear later in the edit. It's a horrible thing. I sometimes realize that I think that I said a thing, and I'm listening in the edit, and it's like, that's not what I thought I said. I'm fucking got dementia. What's going on here?
It
Um,
happens.
yeah. So, what we would normally do here is that I would prompt you to do a recap, but I'm not going to do that just yet. And instead, I am going to skip right to Theta's thoughts, if that's fine with you. Because normally what I would do is I would have watched the last 3 episodes and had a lot of notes about the show and things that I think we need to discuss, but I also didn't do that. What I've done, well, because we were upset. We were both upset. There was a fucking scene, and it's like, why? And
Yeah.
I've brought up before, hey, there was a manga that was, by the way, released concurrently with this. So both of them released 1997. It's like a together thing. Here's the
Mhm.
story of the other things. Here's the story of Bastara. And I said before to you in private that I was upset that Dynamite 7 got made because
Mhm.
of the manga. And
Mm.
to be fair, I thought the manga came out first. It didn't, but at the same time, why make this story? This is the story that should have been in the manga. The manga should have been the show or a movie, but what I've done here is I've basically just written out what happens in the manga, and I've done this in like the style of how I used to do manga reviews on the channel or whatever.
Mhm.
So I'm just gonna read this out, and on your part, just interrupt me if you something that happens and you wanna just say something or you have a
Yeah,
question
yeah.
about something. Yeah, just jump in because I don't have any like clear spots for it. So
Go ahead.
it starts off from the 1 year later perspective, showing that the ships are still being repaired. Fire bomber performances are being broadcast to all the ships to aid in morale. Sazabi, our rapist, so in case you forgot her name,
Uh,
shows up and plants the doubt in Mylene's head about her own popularity, namely how whenever Basar is on stage, he does whatever he wants, and everyone forgets about her. Akiko steps in to defend Mylene, and Sazabi leaves, but her words echo in Mylene's head. She later contacts Mylene after a negative experience with fans that only care about Basara, and tells her that she can help her achieve her dreams without Firebomber. That's when she becomes the lead of the female members of Jamming Angels. Sorry, I'm going to apologize ahead of time for this because I have written it in a number of ways. What are they originally called in the show?
Jamming birds.
Jamming birds. They are. I refer to them both ways here in this little thing that I've written. The only female part of the band that Mylene is with is called Jamming Angels, but I think I just keep going back and forth between Jamming Birds, or I might just call them Jamming Birds from now on, completely forgetting what I'm doing. The press gather to question Mylene about leaving Firebomber. Sazabi rescues her from their questions, but Mylene is conflicted about this new opportunity and goes back to Basar's apartment, where Akiko is railing against Sazabi for being a talent blood-sucking vampiress that is trying to ruin Firebomber. Side note, I've got a bunch of side notes written into this. During an event featuring Sound Force, Milia goes back on suggesting Mylene marry Basara and says Mylene should marry Gamlin. She says Basara's attitude is becoming a problem and thought Mylene was leaving Firebomber anyways. Also, Dr. Chiba is now Captain Chiba. During some side conversations, Ray implies that Basara has changed the mountain and is realizing Macross 7 is just too small for him, and that there is a larger galaxy out there, setting up why Basara leaves. Because I didn't say this before, but I think like the first two chapters of Mylene Beat is before the start of Dynamite 7, and then some things happen concurrently, but it doesn't matter. Basara is in the manga until he's not, and then don't fucking care. During a performance where Mylene is performing a solo in space, Basara is performing on a ship, and his own sound force drowns her out. She thinks that maybe Basara has lost his way, but as they begin to harmonize, Sazabi is shown to be thinking that the only girl in the world that could be her partner is Mylene, and that they should share their dream together. There's a lot of setup going on here that Sazabi is in love with Mylene, so. The very next scene is the start of Dynamite 7, where Basara leaves the note on the windowsill about his leaving. They go on to their next performance without him. Meanwhile, Colonel Barton is monitoring the spiritual output of the crowd and is commanding a crew around some device called the Absorbed Actuator in regards to it. Sazabi enters the room he's in and congratulates him. Meanwhile, the concert is what we saw during the episode. The spiritual levels begin to drop due to Mylene being concerned about Basara leaving, and the audience's spiritual drops because of that, causing Barton to call for an emergency stop on the actuator, suspending the test. So yes, our big bad Colonel Barton back in the picture, and he is tied to Sazabi. Like I said, this should have been the fucking thing. One, it's got all of our characters. Two, it makes sense, actually, and it's kind of a little bit like, I don't know, the word evocative come to my head, but it's not evocative. It is a story, for one thing, and it's got no filler. It's like, also, if you're gonna...
It provides context to what's going on, right?
Yeah,
In a
and
way
if you were
that
gonna throw in a rape scene, you would at least explain it.
I'm still thinking that the whole scene was unnecessary because,
Oh, but
she
you're gonna
said,
love it when we get there. I have one screenshot that I'm gonna send you, and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, I like that at least." Don't
I
worry,
don't
we'll
know.
get there. We then get a diagram showing something called the SAA, which is funneling power into something called the EVIL. Barton then comments that the SAA is the Spiritua Absorber Actuator, and that it is just an energy supply plant to get a new weapon fully functional. The new weapon is Project E, which is based on Proto-Devlin cell samples that they had developed. A biological weapon that needed massive amounts of life force energy to grow. There is also a line about how they have no assistance from the joint government in this experiment. I think implying that Sazabi is bankrolling the effort. She also implies that they are focusing on Mylene's ability to regenerate Spiritua to make it work, and that it's only a matter of time until Mylene will come to their side on things, especially now that the pesky little hippie is out of the picture, commenting that she will have no choice but to come to her. In this scene, right next to in this scene, Sazabi is also hugging Barton from behind, for whatever that implies. Right after this is that scene where we saw Gamlin in the episode where he talks to Mylene about her seeming sad during the performance. In the manga, he was standing right next to Flower Girl in the audience. So him showing up with the flowers seems to be as a note for that in the anime, I mean. After a brief interview with Mylene on the beach, we then go to the next shot from the show, which is Gamlin discovering that Basara's sound energy is being picked up on the frontier of the Milky Way. Side note, Mylene visits Gamlin's apartment just after the scene, and he offers her some tea that he got from Planet Eden, the setting of Macross Plus. So a little callback there. We don't do a lot of callbacks to Macross Plus, so I just, appreciate every little thing. even though I didn't appreciate Macross Plus. During her visit to Gamlen's apartment, she notices that Gamlen has a bunch of Firebomber stuff, and he admits that he's a big fan. He goes on about Basara for a bit and then apologizes for doing so. Mylene apologizes for just showing up unannounced, and he says that she's free to come by whenever she wants. She says that it would be nice to feel like she could stay there forever. Then says something about thinking that she has to quit singing before rushing out. Then we move on to another day, another concert, and Sazabi and Barton are performing another experiment as well. The concert we see is the one where Mylene stops in the middle of the song during the episode. Meanwhile, Barton calls for the experiment to be turned off, railing that if Mylene can't perform anymore, and then there's no point in doing any of this. Sazabi tells him not to jump the gun, that she will decide how Mylene is going to be. Just then, they get an alert of an intruder, and Barton goes off to handle it himself. The intruder turns out to be Captain Chiba, who discovers Project E and recognizes what it is. Barton chides him for not being Special Forces trained and shoots him in the gut. Yeah, like I said, this is a fucking no filler. Like, at worst, you get like some interviews with Mylene, but other than that,
Barton really going for his villain arc. That's interesting.
it feels like he's being manipulated. But
True, but still.
there's elements that later explain what might be going on, but Barton's my guy, so I kind of like, what are you doing here, Barton? This doesn't feel like you at all. But either way,
Oh, it seems like he wants to revive the Proto Devil. That's what this feels like.
yeah. Well, I mean, him being the head of a project to make a weapon out of the Proto Devil. Just like that was kind of like completely a 180 from you in the show. We then transition to Gamlen about to launch to go find Basara. Ray is talking to him on the radio, saying that Gamlen will be troubled if he brings Basara back, and Gamlen thinks to himself that he knows Mylene loves Basara more than him, but that Basara is the only one that can bring back Mylene's smile, so he has to do it. We
Cares
also,
about it.
yeah, I mean, it's a sweet thing from Gamlen because he's willing to sacrifice his own happiness for Mylene, and that's something that's expressed in the show versus nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We also see that Max gave Gamlen this special assignment to bring back the main vocalist of Sound Force. He also apologizes to Gamlen that his daughter has been troubling him. Back at Basara's apartment, Mylene is looking even more depressed now that both Basara and Gamlen are gone, which is when Sasabi calls her to tell her that she's won a Most Valuable Artist award and needs to get ready for a photo shoot at tonight's presentation. We get a cameo by Honey Suzuki as she's rushing to the building to get ready. I just wanted to point out that he was there because he's just like in the background talking about Mylene, running past him. That's it. She passes by the female members of Jamming Birds, again, Jamming Angels actually, who look a mixture of sad, disgusted, and angry as they leave without talking to Mylene, which is when Sazabi shows up from around a corner, commenting on that she didn't know if Mylene was going to come or not, and that she had to, confusing myself with my own note here, and that she had let her heart rule her head. Mylene thinks this is awkward.
It's about to get even more awkward.
After the awards, Mylene goes back to her dressing room and hears the Jamming Angels having an argument where they reveal that they are upset because they were picked for Project E among the thousands of potential people, and now they're having to give it up to Mylene, who they refer to as that kid. It turns out that the person they are arguing with is Sazabi, who informs them that Mylene is something else, and girls with their talent are everywhere. They only existed to be backup vocals for Mylene, and now that they want more fame and fortune, they need to grow up, which causes Chitose, sorry, I don't know if I remember saying her name right,
Yeah.
Chitos, to start crying and rush out of the room. Since Mylene is right there eavesdropping, she gets hit by the door and almost attacked by Cheetos, who calls her a bitch. But her other bandmates calm her down, saying Mylene is just a puppet of Sazabi as well, and not to let this make her more miserable. Mylene demands an explanation, and Sazabi says that in life there are always winners and losers, and that she is old enough to understand that somebody has to lose. As they are all getting called back to the stage, Mylene says that they have some serious talk to do. Sazabi says that she'd be delighted and suggests dinner after the event. One of the jamming angels advises her to watch out for Sazabi. When Mylene asks why, she just says, "You'll see." Don't worry, this they're not as bad as they seem to be.
No.
I mean, you know
Just
what's coming.
tell her.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, you'll see. Back at Basara's apartment, Akiko is shouting at Ray about the fact that Mylene went to dinner with Sazabi, saying that it's dangerous and that she's ruined so many young artists. Ray says that he thought Akiko said she'd be alright. Akiko shouts that Mylene is in danger, and in a super awkward panel, Ray says, Miss Sazabi is a woman. And Akiko explains that she is bisexual, with a comedic drum sneer by Fafitas.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it because yeah, we're getting into the lesbian, bisexual, predatory trope, right? Like, oh yeah, clearly she's because the only gay character we have is Honey Suzuki.
I
You
mean, I
know,
think you're assuming that he is gay, but
yeah, at least
he's
they
camp. I
made him
think we
very,
agree that he's camp,
very,
but I don't
very
think that
camp,
means.
right?
Well,
Yeah,
again, this is why I indicated that she is like hugging on Barton from behind. Like Barton never
yeah,
really expresses like anything to do with it. She just like
yeah,
draped over him, but I think the idea is that she's manipulating Barton. And
yeah. So
then,
that predatory trope, right? It's like it's. I mean, it's not that you can't have bisexual villains, just like you can't have. Oh, you can never have a trans villain. It's like okay, you have this character. Do we have other examples that are not villainous? Right? If your only example is, I mean, Sybil, I guess was also put as a villainess as well because she would, take energy from men and women alike, right?
well,
She
she
didn't make a
only
distinction.
she only like sexually advanced on men though, is the thing.
Yeah, but
Also, she only ever inhabited men. I mean, women. She only ever
women.
inhabited women.
Yeah, but still, I guess that's an example of a straight alien predator. You know, that turns to be a not a villain, but it's like, oh, I couldn't help it. It's my nature. But still, if you have other examples, like, okay, fine. But if the only example of a bisexual woman is, oh, she's a predator, it's like, oh yeah, no, we're leaning on. We're not even leaning on that trope. We're taking a dive into it.
I mean, again, there's the fact that she's just shouting that she's a predator, and I
Yeah,
guess the idea is that Ray doesn't think she's a threat because what would it matter if Mylene's with a woman that's a predator? And it's like, oh, she's attracted to women too. Mylene's as dangerous as anybody else is. I guess again, it's the fact that a fetus does a little comedic drum snare
yeah.
that kind of.
I love that. I love a fetus, but yeah,
Well, she's not going to be your hero this time. Remember, you said, "Oh, I wish Fafitas beat the shit out of her." It's coming. Wait, but it's not going to be a Fafitas. Which is then when we go to the scene of Mylene getting drugged at dinner. The difference here is that Mylene is upset from the start and keeps getting put on the back foot by Sazabi being emotionally manipulative about her situation with Basara. She then goes on to explain why Mylene is better than the other girls and how she has a genetic gift that only a select few are born with. That she has a purpose to fulfill, which is when she starts passing out. And as she's going, Sazabi says that God sent her to this earth to assist her to unfold her gift, telling her that she loves her. Just as Sazabi undresses, we go back to Ray and group who are speeding down the highway while on the sorry, Again, another jamming birds correction. While one of the jamming angels is on the phone with him, telling him where Mylene is and to hurry before it's too late. In the background, Cheetos is raising a glass to the air, telling Sazabi to kiss her ass. Unfortunately, the final panel of the chapter imply that the rape scene happened completely and that Mylene wasn't unconscious during it. I think the idea is that the drug paralyzed her, but didn't actually put her
Yeah,
unconscious.
which is, I guess, fixed with what we saw in the episode where she was smoking a cigarette. But they say, "Oh, we got there in time."
Well, see, that doesn't
So,
actually happen either. I don't make a note about it, but the her just lying in bed smoking a cigarette is completely antithetical to the entire situation because
yeah.
so much extra shit happens that would not be that would not have happened in so they anyway. Mylene's orgasm awakens Project E, which begins to rampage inside of its holding container. It's not like a massive thing. It's the problem is it's done in. You remember that example of sex as described in Comics Code era comics, where
Yeah,
like Director Fury has sex with a woman and it's being like
and
implied by yeah
shoving the gun. Yeah.
gun yeah that sort of thing. Except
No, I mean, it's just like it's a decision to make this a plot line, right? It's like, oh yeah, we need to have this in order to make it. Yeah, they're making it more of a plot line, but it's like, yeah, I questioned the whole decision in the first place. I'm like,
look, if
this
we're
is
getting it, at least we got it in a way that does something with it. And hold on though, we're getting to the rape is over, but now there's actual consequence to the rape. So, Mylene's orgasm awakens Project E, which begins to rampage inside of its holding container, ripping its way out of the ship. It looks like King Ghidorah, by the way. If King Ghidorah had angel's wings, it's just one head.
mm,
There might be a better gun. Getting him. There might be a better Godzilla reference out there, but that was the one that came to my head. Barton, dealing with a massive hull breach, says that the Proto-Devlin is heading straight for City 7 and has to be stopped at all costs. His staff says that they can't control it, and he shouts that they can't put the civilians at risk and with one of their own weapons. They have to do something. Sheba appears to be still alive and tied to a chair, who tells Barton he got exactly what he wanted. The desire to control a weapon that had almost killed everyone before, including himself. That he couldn't just resist the temptation, and now the damage caused will be irreparable. How many times do we need to repeat this before we're satisfied? Back at the scene of the rape, Sazabi is freaking out because she thinks Mylene is sick from an overdose of the date rape drug and calls a doctor, telling Mylene not to worry as help will be there soon. Mylene's eyes go completely white and she flies across the room to attack Sazabi. Ray and company are just outside the door hearing Sazabi screaming. The door is locked, so Fafitas kicks it open. Mylene has Sazabi pinned to the floor and is strangling her, but she's clearly enraged as she turns to attack Fafitas when she enters the room. Fafitas punches her in the gut and knocks her out, leading to the scene we saw of them carrying her out of the room. When they ask what's happened to her, Fafitas just says, Zetrin's blood, or Zenetrin's blood, which I guess means the effect Proto-Devlin have on Zentradi. Akiko then notices Sazabi getting back up and starts stomping her into the ground, saying that she's there to kill her. Which is my little panel to send to you there. I didn't come here to help you. I'm here to kill you, bitch. Don't thank me. I never liked you. Anyway, there's actually more of that because Akiko does not give up on this. Akiko is your avenging angel in the manga.
yeah, I like she actually gets her ass kicked. but we still had the scene, and now becomes central to explaining why things happening. Right? It's like I don't know how to feel about this, but I'm not feeling good about this.
Well, I think the feeling that I got from this, what was it? Was it Perfect Blue? The
I think,
one with the idol who has a fan who's so obsessed with her that the ultimate point of not the point, the ultimate action sequence of the entire movie is that her fan then tries to kill her to take her
yeah,
place, that sort of thing. I kind
yeah.
of get that feeling from Sazabi, is that she is such a fan of Mylene that she wants everything from her
Yeah,
because
but
that's the way it's
I
being
feel
built up.
yeah, but I also feel like it's a way of showing that how evil she is if she's willing to do this, right? Because that's a pattern of like, oh yeah, we can have people who murder millions of people. You got people who slave other people. You got this, but you really want to show that this person's the villain, have them be a sexual
Well,
predator.
again, you're painting it as evil, and it just seems more like mentally fucked up. It's not like I mean, it's
Uh,
clearly from a objective point of view, it is obviously evil. Well, not evil, it's bad. It is very, very bad. But evil implies an intent that wasn't actually present.
well, I
But
think there was always an intent. I
well, no,
mean,
yeah,
she
yeah.
clearly
Well,
was willing to
again,
fund the project to get a new proto devlin going. Tries to manipulate Barton. Even if she says I'm in love with her, that's her delusion,
yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's mental illness. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
mental illness is not
And she had,
specifically
and
evil.
she, and apparently she has done this before,
All
so
I'm
she has a pattern of doing
That's
this.
fair. Akiko does say that.
Yeah,
Again, I'm just
yeah.
trying to draw the line into saying that mental illness is not itself evil.
No,
Now, if
but
your
it's also
mental
not an
illness makes you
excuse.
do something that you think is also bad, then that is evil. But if your mental illness is that you think you're doing good, then in your perspective, obviously, it's not evil. Evil is a very weird word to be throwing around because evil itself has connotations. Like, saying something is bad is different from saying
Well,
something is evil.
clearly the manga writers were putting it that way because they have Akiko kick her ass, right?
Yeah, yeah. No, again, that's again the difference between being bad and evil.
Yeah.
Like Hitler was fucking evil. Obviously, not all Germans were evil though. A lot of Germans were just fucking bad for following evil. There's a I don't know. It's a slippery slope, sliding scale, whatever. I'm saying
Okay.
that this just feels more like mental illness to me than it does. And here's the thing, not for nothing. We had a conversation about this. We were able to have a conversation versus what the fuck happened in the movie. Not movie, show, right? Where it's there, no reason. Like, it's not even tied to that story. Why have it? Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't remember where I
But
was.
it does follow the a pattern that I find we have both found problematic in Max 7, which is the increasing sexualization of Mylene, right? We
Yeah.
introduce a 14-year-old character who is 16, who ends up now 16 years old, probably. They even changed the ending. Oh, this is so cutesy and stuff like that. And then she's like naked and doing a finger gun thing with a love heart. Like, it's like, I don't know what the choices are.
Well, to
And
be
by the
fair,
way, this is,
I enjoy the finger heart thing at the very end, although it's just the
yeah,
naked lead up to it. Like, she's not
yeah.
naked in the finger heart, it's like bust up. So it's like,
Yeah, and they were already kind of doing that because the other one had her like sleeping, and implying that just the was over here like, oh wow, she's in her own bed sleeping. So it was kind of gearing up to that, and she's wearing a leotard as well, right? And the angles were always like, oh, let's have her with the base and the butt shots, which is, I mean, if you're a 14-year-old kid watching this, oh, it's another 14-year-old. Oh, I like 14-year-old because they're my age, but for everyone else, it's like, okay, that's a bit too
yeah,
much.
you gotta wonder what was going on in the Japan in the late 90s. I believe
Mm,
this at least came out in 97.
yeah.
Let's see. They just busted into the room. Akiko then notices Sazabi getting back up and starts stomping her into the ground, saying that she's going to kill her. Ray stops her, saying murder isn't good for the soul. As Akiko continues to kick the shit out of Sazabi, Fafitas points out that the Proto Devlin is flying right at them outside the window. The creature utterly destroys the building as it slams into it. We then enter Mylene's mindscape, where she is utterly alone, and she repeats to herself that she will give up singing. Then a voice says that it likes her singing, and it would like it if she kept singing. We then get the point of view of the Proto-Devlin in a chamber, looking out and seeing Sazabi and Barton, explaining that they called it evil because that's what the bodies of the Proto-Devlin inhabited were called. Apparently, Sazabi treated it like a child when it was incubating, and Mylene is seeing its memories. Sazabi played at Mylene's music during that time, and it fell in love with it. It begs Mylene to sing again, and says that she says that she's too exhausted. It tells her not to give up. We also get panels of Sazabi thinking that the creature fell for Mylene for the same reason that she did, that her music is magic. Mylene starts thinking that Sazabi really did like her songs, but the creature says that if Mylene is torn out, again, I don't know what that means, but I put quotation marks, that it will give her its power and starts singing Power to the Dream at her. Across the fleet, they hear and detect it. Mylene wakes up, and it turns out everyone in the building is on the Proto-Devlin's back. Mylene then starts to sing along with the Proto-Devlin. Sazabi gets up and starts apologizing to Mylene, but Mylene stops her and says not to worry, that she knows everything, the plan and all. Side note, the Proto-Devlin is now given a name, Crudlin, which is Zentradi for wings. Mylene says that she is honored that Sazabi is her biggest fan, but she is going to have to decline to follow her plan as the journey has now begun. Yeah, go ahead, rant on that one.
Yeah, I'm not liking the easily forgivable. Like, yeah, you did this to me, but yeah, I understand. It's like, oh god, no.
I think there's
No.
an element of like the whole mind journey thing going on.
Yeah,
Because
but
all throughout
still,
the manga, we see Sazabi in like a number of different lights. Some of them are actually good, but a number of them indicate that she is horrible. Like obviously the jamming angels being inflicted with Sazabi to the point where they fucking hate her and they have like the whole pop idol journey. Like, they're crying, they're horrible, they're devastated. And ultimately, that's why they turn out to help Mylene at the end when they know what's about to happen.
which maybe they imply that one or more of them had already been a victim of Sasabi,
That's why I don't, that actually seems like
or
it's unlikely, but at this,
or heard from someone else.
well, no, that's actually why I wrote down that they had, like, each one of them had different, emotional responses when they were leaving the room earlier in the manga. Because I thought, too, that was what's happening. But the way that Sazabi, even in the flashbacks of the Proto-Devlin's memory, how Sazabi is like infatuated with Mylene essentially her entire life, like ever since Mylene started singing. It seems unlikely that she was doing that to the Jamming Angels, especially when she says, "You're like a dime a dozen." Like she doesn't care about the Jamming Angels.
But the fact that they knew where she was, Blythe had been there before.
Probably because she invited her to the dinner before everything, so they were in the hallway technically.
Still, I mean, even if it's to mind you,
Again,
I don't
I'm
like
trying to
that.
give benefit of the doubt here because without the rape scene, it all reads like a love story, right?
I mean, you can still have her be an obsessive, misguided, exploitative bitch without it going there, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, what I'm doing here is
Um,
devil's advocating before anyone's like, "Why is he
you know,
defending it?" I'm
or
not defending
or
it.
or maybe because like the reason why she was financing is because she thought the proto Delvin were special or something and needed to be brought back, and so Barton was doing because he wants a weapon, but she really wants to bring the whatever power she thinks the proto Delvin are. I mean, you can have, if you're gonna go for the twisted mental image of her not understanding how the world really works, you can even add the thing of like, oh no, the proto devlin really were misguided, right? If I hadn't been for the fact that they shot that weapon, that they would have, they just like you were arguing earlier, like, yeah, you can have we could have had peace, people could have volunteered, right? They just needed to be fed, right? Maybe she saw a Sybil, right? It's like, wow, that's a beautiful creature, right? There were a lot of ways to go with this.
I
At least I could come up
honestly,
with a fact cycle without going there.
we're not at the end yet, but I actually don't know what Sazabi's motivation was for being a part of Project E, because it's not really. Maybe I've just like forgotten or just didn't write it down. But she's there from the beginning, and it's like I said, it seems implied that she's bankrolling it because the government doesn't have any part of this. Like even Chiba had to figure it out, but she obviously she treats the Proto Devlin in incubation like a child, like it's her kid. Like she plays it the music that she loves. She enjoys that it seems to like the music she likes, that sort of thing. But other than that, we don't get like a this is why I'm doing this with her relation to
Although
Project E.
technically, would it? Well, would it be Proto Devlin because the sixth
Technically,
creature?
it's not, but like I said, that's
Yeah,
why they
it's
call it evil. That's why they call the project evil, because
yeah,
the Proto Devlin, the the bodies the Proto Devlin inhabit were called evil, so they called
by
this
the
evil.
by the proto
Yeah,
culture. Yeah.
yeah. So it's lampshaded, but they refer to it as a Proto Devlin, probably because that's the Proto Devlin in their mind. We've been attacked by these things. They're Proto Devlin, even though it's not actually true, and they actually refer to it as not being true. They're still in their mindset, whatever. But yeah, like I said, there's no motivation from her. I guess the idea is that she is the main villain of the thing, even though by the end she's not being treated like a villain, and that Barton is our side villain, even though the moment shit goes wrong, he's like, we can't let innocent people get hurt. He's still himself at the end, even though why the fuck is he doing Project E? The one guy who seems most likely to be the guy. I would almost say him and Chiba's roles should be reversed, but not even then, because Chiba would never be doing this either. But he would be the one like, oh, I'm gonna kill Project E. It's crazy. Anyway, what did I say last? Oh, the whole thing about her being her biggest fan. But their journey has now begun. Ray and Vivitas comment that their instruments weren't damaged, luckily, and asks if they can go with Mylene. They call out New Frontier and begin singing together. Barton asks what is happening, and Chiba explains that the evil has been listening to Mylene's songs since before he was born, like cradle songs. So Mylene is like a mother to him. The jamming angels then fly out and start singing with them as well. Essentially, the whole fleet starts cheering as they sing. Mylene thinks to herself that this is what Basara has been teaching her. Crudlin flies off into deep space, and Akiko asks where it is going. Mylene, now back in City 7, says it doesn't matter where it's going, that it wanted to fly away is all it had to tell them. Ray comments that she also wanted to fly away too, and not to worry about them, just have a safe trip. The manga ends with Mylene looking up to the sky and saying, yep.
Yeah. If not for that, again, we cycle back to that scene. This actually would have been a great story.
Would have been better than the one we're getting. Like, what
Yeah,
the
and
fuck is with the whales? Like,
yeah,
again, my problem is that, or my problem was before that I thought this got released first or anywhere near it, and then be like, this is a story. The whole my wife died because of the space whale and yada yada yada, all that extra stuff is all added, and it's like space whales don't have really a thing to do with Macross 7. All the characters we enjoy are gone. The character we had the least fun with is our main character. The only time we get to see our old characters again is a rape scene, and then I guess Gamlin's gonna show up, but Who the fuck cares? I don't even remember. Was the implication that Ray and Vafidus were going to show up?
Yeah, I think they were just gonna. I think it was like they were just. It looks to me like they're gonna join up. Everybody's
Because
gonna join up at the end. You
because
know.
they shouldn't. Because the manga, like,
Yeah.
you included the rape scene, so the rest of the manga should happen. In which case, everyone's happy, right? Everyone's now just happy.
And yeah, it's people might be commenting and well, when they watch it, it will be their present. It's our future. Like, oh, you guys are hung up on that. It's like we wouldn't be. First of all, I'm hung up on it because I don't like it. I just don't
Well,
like it.
I'll
And
throw this out there. If there people are commenting that we're hung up on it, then I'm not fucking caring about those people. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Not all
no, but
opinions matter.
no, I know, but I try to get the full spectrum of this. First of all, I don't like it. If you like it, or hope you don't like it, but if you don't think it's that important, okay, fine. But the thing is, in the show, it's gratuitous. There's no reason for it. It just comes out of nowhere. And in the manga, they make a big deal. Like this becomes the center of it, right? Like, oh, this is the catalyst that changes everything, right? You know, again, when we had Basara, I mean, if you wanted, okay, here's the thing. Another example of how could this be done differently, it would have been very cool for me and no problem. You could even have the predatory, producer, because that's also a trope. But have like Mylene go like, oh, I'm gonna get out of here, whatever, and maybe I'm drugged and I get escape, and make it more like because that's the kind of thing. It's like women in this show mostly are treated as victims,
Well, I
right?
mean, they
They
do,
get
I guess, kind of try to empower her by turning her into rage mode because she like
yeah, but
literally
it
almost strangles Sazabi to death
yeah,
for
but
what she
that's
did to
after
her.
it's after the fact, right? It's like, oh, and it's because she gets super empowered by this thing that's happening, right? Which, by the way, it's empowered by having an orgasm while getting raped.
Again, that was, if you think about it, she's doing the rape not because of the project that she's in or the development of anything else. She's doing
Yeah,
that because she just wants to. Like,
true,
even if
but
you
it
wanted to,
backfires on her.
yeah, even
Yeah,
if you wanted to make it the reason for everything, you kind of have to start jumping through hoops. Like,
yeah,
oh, the only way where we're going to awaken the proto Devlin is if some Mylene has some sort of like huge emotional release, and she's like, I've got an idea. Even then,
yeah,
that's weird and hard to like bring out. And it's like it's coincidental that Mylene's orgasm is what
yeah.
brings the proto Devlin around.
It
So
feels
it's
very much like this is what they wanted. The writer wanted this, and this was the end point, and he was gonna just
I mean, I hate it, but it does seem right. Like, I want a Mylene rape scene. How am I gonna write it? 4 chapters
yeah.
later, I've got it.
Yeah, and so I mean, she could have been escaping, which is not great because again, you're talking about a but at least it's like, oh, because most of the time, well, my name does in the show kind of go forward, but she never matches Basara. Basara's always ahead because he's the hero, and even when I always thought the show was gonna go, oh, they're gonna realize that the team up is Basara, Mylene together doing stuff. Then you have Sybil. And Sybil shows up and knocks out of, elbows Mylene's like, no, I am the thing that's going to
Well,
empower everything, right?
that's the scene early on where Mylene is having a concert out in space, and Basara is like playing his acoustic guitar, and it
Yeah.
overpowers Mylene. He's on the ship, she's out in space, and that's when Basara is like writes a note and leaves because it's like Basara is too big for this place. This is, I guess, what Ray's implying, and that there's a big old universe out there. And I guess Basara's still going through that I've traveled the universe with Civil thing in his head, and I guess he recognizes that he is overshadowing Mylene, and he doesn't really need to be here anymore. And that is the start of Dynamite 7, where he's drinking a cup, puts the note down, puts the cup, and leaves.
Which again, it's kind of the problem with Basara because Basara doesn't articulate any of these things. He just does whatever he feels like it. He never talks to Mylene. He's like, listen, Mylene, you gotta because this would all have been solved if Basara had gone like, listen, Mylene, you got a bright future. You don't need me. I know you have these feelings for me. but it's better for me to leave. She will still be conflicted, but at least she's given something to work with
Ah,
and develop eventually.
I
But Basara
disagree.
would never.
I
I,
disagree.
I
Only,
think it
only
would.
because Basara having anything to do with any of this
Oh yeah, it'd
doesn't
be
mean
too late.
anything. Well, no, I
It
mean
would
it
be
doesn't
too
mean
late.
anything. The only thing Basara leaving causes her is a little bit of depression. But Gamlin is there to solve that. It's Gamlin leaving to go find Basara, which is
Yeah.
actually what sets her off because that's the she gets depressed that both Gamlin and Basara are gone and she doesn't have anybody left, and that's when Sazabi swoops in and is like, "Hey, you won an award. Let's spend some more time together."
Like a predator does. So that's a thing.
Like I said,
Exploits.
everything there's no fat to this.
Yeah.
Everything everything that happens sets something else up or is acted upon by something else that's already in motion. Unlike
Yeah.
unlike Dynamite 7, which is like Dynamite 7, the fat of
It's a
Dynamite
side
7
story.
includes a rape scene
Yeah.
that is superfluous to the story of Dynamite 7.
Yeah, but I think it's also and also I was talking before about how people. It's like I personally, I'm not against sex. I'm not against even having a sexual assault scene in a movie. It's just that looking back at all the movies, especially in the 1980s and 90s, direct to video movies, who clearly were using, and even anime as well, especially the more adult ones, right? Using using sexual assault in two ways. Oh, we're trying to do a serious thing, but really what we're trying to do is titillate you because we want to have nudity and want to have sex. But we're going to put it in, coach it in this way. So we're being serious about it. That's one. And two, show that someone is, like I was saying earlier, particularly bad. Sure, I can enslave millions. I could destroy the universe. But if you really want to show me how bad you are, I'm going to sexually assault somebody. That's how
It's
evil
true.
I am, right? Yeah. And I'm like, and I guess it's the 1990s, so I guess it comes from that as well. And Studio Gonzo, you mentioned that they might related to someone who got into trouble. Rurouni Kenshin, the creator of Rurouni Kenshin,
No,
no, he
no,
wasn't
no.
working for
Gonzo's
Gonzo.
not
No,
related to that. I don't remember.
no,
I
no.
mean, I know what you're talking about with Rurouni Kenshin, the animator or the artist and the creator of the thing is a fucking pedophile. But I mean, he admitted it to the cops when they were arresting him. His favorite age of kid, but um, yeah, that has nothing to do with Gonzo, as far as I know.
Okay.
I
I
remember I've
mean,
talked about the studio before because they make some of my other favorite anime. I don't remember any
yeah.
bringing up anything to do with Rurouni Kenshin.
Well, my bad. I don't. Apologies to Gonzo for. Well, I'm not apologizing for you putting this in the show, but I'm making even worse by
I mean,
So if you're,
there's an understandable element of using rape as a show for evil, only because it's more personal, right? I think it's that whole killing a guy is people lose their minds, but you kill 20 guys and it's a statistic. That whole
yeah,
statement, it's like it's a very personal thing. It's like the difference between getting shot and stabbed, right? A bullet passes through you, you deal with it. The stabbing, you're there the whole fucking time. It's
yeah.
it
So
is
I'm
a
basically,
traumatic
not
experience.
only am I disgusted by it to a degree, which is clearly to everyone who sees, maybe to an absurd degree, but that's just me. That's my
I mean,
reaction.
it's a very reasonable
Uh,
response. I don't think it's absurd. Again, I'm
um,
coming at this in a not so much a devil's advocate. It's just I can see what the story was trying to do in the manga, and
mhm.
it's not as horrible as the anime because the
Yeah,
anime has no reason to be there, and obviously a good writer would have not written it in the manga because Sazabi could have been that person without doing this, or sh- the problem is that they made the orgasm the event. She should not have been successful, and at least again, I've only described it to you. The manga panels don't like show you everything. It's like
yeah.
two hands against a bed, and that sort of thing. It's not like we don't see it. But that's why I also implied that the scene in the anime where she's like smoking on the bed when they just all fucking leave, it's like that could not have happened. like Akiko wasn't in the anime, so I guess they didn't have the voice actress on hand, but
Yeah.
she would have been kicking her ass. Also, she would have already been strangled on the floor before Vafidus
Yeah.
even kicked the door open. Plus, the building would have been collapsed around them. Like, the thing crashes into the building, and it's shown the entire fucking building's coming down.
Yeah.
So,
And also the fact that she ends up being easily forgiven by Mylene. Sure, Mylene is young, but I don't
again, I
think.
think that's an element of, like, the mind fusing thing with the Proto Devlin, who sees Sazabi as, like, also a mother figure. So, there is a strange mixing of emotion.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
But
Mylene
still,
is
it,
supposed to come out of this as more like galaxy brain than anything else. Like, I've seen the grand plan, and your part in it doesn't really matter, so I forgive you.
it still smacks me as easily forgiven for
You know, I
for
think there's
that. But
also
anyway,
that whole element of like redemption for everybody. I mean, she's obviously doesn't get redeemed, but like the whole Barton created this problem, but Barton's immediate response is, "Shit, we've got to save everybody." You know, that nobody
yeah,
is
but
like, "Oh shit, I better destroy the evidence." You know,
yeah. But I think if you're gonna go for Barton, that's kind of weak sauce because if you're gonna go Barton evil arc, then just embrace it. You
yeah,
know,
it's like he shot
just
Chiba in the gut. I mean, it looks like he shot Chiba in the gut. Clearly, Chiba still being alive is very confusing, but
yeah, or
also
dying
he
because he's strapped in, he's dying unless he shot him in the gut and then has a medic tend to him. It's like,
it
oh
does
yeah,
it does
just make
like
sure.
no wound that I could have seen, but I didn't like super
Yeah,
investigate. Also, the fact he's
yeah,
Captain Chiba now,
yeah. So he's
it's
going.
a
Yeah, Uh, yeah, yeah. 90% of this is good or better than we're watching right now, but that 10%
it's a
just like,
united story. It doesn't introduce new characters that we
yeah.
have to learn and a new creature. I mean, uh, Cruddle or whatever I called him, Crudlin,
Mhm.
I think it was. Crudlin is just a proto Devlin or an evil, as it were, which I guess also implies that evil are sentient. So, because he's the first evil without a proto Devlin inside of him that we get to see.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, well, I mean, that element is pretty cool because he's a victim, or it's a victim of those who created him. Just that probably the evil were victims of the protoculture who created them to fight a war, right? And by extension, the Centrati were also victims because they were made to wage war. They didn't consent to be made to wage war, right? If you're a little kid and you get trained, I mean, that aspect,
to be fair, they objected so hard that they killed the people who made them. So,
yeah. So, but that kept, being a warrior because that's the only thing they knew, right? So that is an interesting angle to take. And I'm not gonna mention that anymore
versus
because
all
I'm
the
done with it.
conversations we've had about the migration of space whales.
Yeah. So I can get what you're. Yeah, it's better written
What are you talking
for
about? It's
giving.
not only better written, this is better than the main show. This is better than Encore. This is better than Dynamite 7. This should have been a movie, and we should have wrapped out with this. We would have had the same problem as we had with Dynamite 7, but it would have been a coherent, single story.
Yeah,
And like I said, the main feel, and I can't believe you don't know Perfect Blue. Perfect
I think I've heard
Blue
about it. I've heard about it, but I didn't watch it
Perfect
back in the
Blue
day.
is in that realm of when you were like talking about old school anime fans of like, okay, these are the anime movies you have to watch to be considered an anime fan. In the same realm of like, Evangelion or Outlaw
Yeah, because
Star
I when
maybe.
you say Perfect Blue, I get a completely different anime, which I know it's not the one you described about a submarine in a post-apocalyptic world.
Maybe I'm talking about the
Which
wrong
is
one. Maybe I'm wrong.
yeah,
Perfect Blue. No, Perfect Blue is it. It's the
yeah. So
1997, ironically 1997
yeah, seems to be the
horror.
year of
Well, no, 1997 is the same as when Dynamite 7 came out and Mylene
uh
Beat. The horror mystery Perfect Blue.
yeah, I haven't
A
watched
young
it. Then again,
Japanese singer is encouraged by her agent to quit singing and pursue an acting career, beginning with a role in a murder mystery TV show. R rated, by the way.
yeah, I
Serious
mean, yeah,
violence, killing, stabbings, blood, death, and sexual assault. Oh, I did not remember that there was a brutal gang rape, apparently. But it is the cornerstone of a psychological fucking
Oh,
thing. Oh no, and it is like beloved by so many people because it's such a great psychological kind of thriller. Because you also don't know what's happening through the whole thing. Like, is she going crazy? That whole thing?
yeah. No, no, I haven't watched. I mean, I heard about it, and you said, "Yeah, that sounds familiar," but I haven't.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
one
no, it
day
is.
I'll.
Despite the whole rape being a part of it, it is it is an amazing, amazing movie. It is, I don't know, probably top 10 anime movies. I don't know. My problem is that my sliding scale is also mixed with nostalgia. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. You see it as a much better than everything you watch in Macro 7. I see it as 90% solid with a still a 10% problematic core. That's my take on it.
again, not the core, just the thing that's part of it. It's your core
Yeah.
takeaway. It's not the core of the story. The
Mhm.
core of the story is the manipulation leading up to the problem.
Yeah.
The relationship with Suzabi, her past with Mylene on her own, leading up to the manipulation of other talent along the way,
Yeah.
which then creates the problem, but it's not itself the whole thing. All right, so yeah, that has been Macross 7 Mylene Beat. Before anything else though, just a little bit of fun here. I put a poll up on the community tab on the YouTube. I don't know if you saw it.
No, no,
Okay, I
read
kind
the
of
title
sometimes you
already.
have a habit of rolling around and commenting on stuff. So, the text of the poll that I put up is this time we are pitting SDF Macross against Macross 7. Instead of the Blue Rhinoceros squad waking up the Proto-Devlin, a 118th Zentradi Main Fleet Scout Force encounters them 40 years early. Who emerges victorious in this new matchup? Golg Bodal Zur and his fleet of nearly 5 billion ships, or sorry, I put their actual name here, Geperuniti and his cadre of ships and Proto-Devlin. Where are you falling on that one?
Because of the reaction that the Pro Devlin had on the Centrati and they go crazy, right? They have a distinct advantage.
5 billion ships, though.
I mean, what happens is they start fighting each other. They don't fight him. If they can concentrate fire on them, yeah, they're gonna kill them. But otherwise, the moment they start fighting each other, I mean, if Basara can just drive crazy a bunch of the most elite Meltran warriors, you know,
All right. Well, with 27 votes, Golg only pulls out 15% of them. With Lord Gepper, I'm going to say Geppernick because that's what they said early in the show, and that's what I remember. Lord Geppernick pulling out 85% of the votes. Only one comment, though, from Jibby the Jibo, who says, Zentradi completely, no match. Which, obviously didn't pan out in the poll, but yeah, I thought it would just be interesting, this galaxy spanning force, 5 billion ships.
yeah, we're talking about ship versus ship. Yeah, sure, it's try to win. But the moment they're like, "Oh, Proto Devlin, oh no, we go crazy, start rebelling and fighting each other and running away and run away," yeah, that's the part. And giant things are immune to their biggest guns and just blast entire fleets with one shot. So yeah, if they have all their forces, yeah, there's
I
no
mean, for my
no.
money, it was the element of the Zentradi, I'm sorry, the Proto Devlin just fucking fly through ships.
Yeah.
It would be a Captain America situation. I can do this all day. 5 billion? That's a billion for each of us.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think it's worthwhile to do a recap, or do we just want to get into it?
I just want to get into it.
Like you said, I didn't even do a notes on it. I just read a completely different manga. So,
Yeah.
all right, let's go ahead and just hop on in and see where this ends up. I guess also the difference would be you wouldn't get Basara's new sound.
Mm-hmm.
You'd get more Mylene's stuff,
Yeah.
or conceivably, more Macross 2 stuff.
I mean, I get more stuff of the character that I care about.
Well, I mean,
'Cause I really
that
like Mylene.
that she leads the female part of the Jamming
Yeah,
Birds
yeah,
and
yeah.
forms the Jamming Angels, but the Jamming
Mm.
Birds' main discography is songs from Macross 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I've enjoyed those, apparently.
Yeah,
So,
I like the soundtrack from that series. When we get to it, I have a lot of comments, but I do like the music.
well, I mean, when we get to it, it'll be literally the last thing we watch, or should be. So, you'll have a lot of comments about the journey so far as well, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Because then we'll.
Also, that concert looks like the. I think we commented on that before, but the whole looks like the Culture ruins that were hexagonal as well.
Oh, I
I
just
think
realized that those. No, wait, never mind. I was going to say those giant tubes were something else, but yeah, those are
turbines.
obviously the. Say what?
Turbines. They're the turbines from the VF-19.
No, actually, I think they're the giant speaker pods. Oh, never mind.
No,
You're right.
look.
I can see that now. Sorry, actually, I was thinking that they were the anti-gravity units, kind of like from the SDF Macross that ripped themselves out of the
Yeah.
ship. Because my
Mhm.
thought process has been they're on anti-gravity platforms, apparently. It's like, where the fuck does that come from? Oh, wait, the SDF Macross was supposed to have anti-gravity technology before it
And you
ripped
can see
itself out of the ship.
the chain things remind me of Macross Plus too. Like they have something in the air and they're surrounded by chains, which is the old Sharon Apple thing. Sorry.
クジラがまたクジラの群れが分かれてきたことは過去のデータにはありません。
Also, Ramsey, they never did anything with that language
おそらく
that
3体以内
Basara was
このまま
writing.
のコースをたどると
Remember, he was writing a song and it's like, oh, this is gonna be important. And I guess we just assumed one of her songs. It just turned into one of his songs eventually.
過去に例がないのでローレンスさんに伝え
Yeah,
ろと
no, I remember specifically because I thought it was going to be a clue to something.
何
7000年生きたクジラは群れからはぐれて空にあるクジラのお墓に落ちてくるのよ。おじいちゃんの言った通りだったね。
Grandpa? I thought it was their dad. Guess not. Wait a minute.
Unless Grandpa's a different person.
Guess.
Might be an element of the information we found out last episode, but
だけど相変わらずどこをほっつき歩いているのか朝らは帰ってこないそれから今度はミレーヌまでどっか行ってしまった
Oh, so we now get that Mylene is also left.
だから今日は特別に2人の縦看板を用意した
Okay.
I hear that you all have been really upset about a rape scene, so I'm gonna try and inflict some comedy. Conceivably, this should have happened all after the Proto-Devlin attack from the manga. Who the fuck would be satisfied by going to a concert where you're playing something out of a speaker? Or a recording.
なんだこりゃこれがあの男が歌い出したクジラとコミュニケーションを取る可能性を持った男だ
バサラだよ。
At the very least, I'm happy to know that this episode
ファイヤーボンバーの
will
バサラ
have no bearing on our character ranking whatsoever. Except for me now knowing exactly how much you like the character Graham, apparently.
I mean, I like him.
のセットはまだ
A
できるのか
lot.
このジャカラシ
Yeah.
You like him a lot, which I did not
He could have been-
anticipate.
Well, he's misused in this character, but as a character concept, he's a cool concept.
At best, I gave him bonus points for having a missing arm. If you're a character who's got like an amputation of some sort or like a missing eye, you get bonus points in my mind. Because it makes you more interesting than not. Hey, you remember how Macross 7 ended? What if we just did that again? It was like, how about one more time? I think he's like my favorite artistically. Our space pirate guy. Oh, that's right. They were gonna nuke the whales. I kind of forgot that. Hey, that was a thing in the late 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't remember who that was about. Somebody was like, nuke the whales.
ライザの妹じゃないか。
そうだよ。
確かエルマ。
すごい。名前まで知ってるんだ。もしかしてお姉ちゃんの恋人？
いや、それは。
好きだけど相手にしてもらえないの？
Everything we fucking know. No, he's not.
どうして君がここにいるんだ？
お姉ちゃんとバサラを連れてきたの。
バサラ？
だからバサラだよ。ファイヤーボンバーの。
そうか。彼はバサラだったのか。
さっきも教えてあげたのに。
分かって。
Yes, you did.
千葉教授の歌エネルギー理論は私のスピーカーシステムにもちゃんと。
Other scientists were involved.
どこ行くの？
Yeah.
研究室だ。
I mean, according to the previous part of the show, they're already trying to go to the cemetery. If you leave them alone, I mean, I understand the pirate guys are trying to, like, pull them up as well.
知らねえぜそんなこと。こいつはそんなこと思っちゃいねえ。
こいつは死に際を待っている。求めているんだ。
死にてえのはあんただろ。死ぬためにクジラとやり合うなんてくだらねえぜ。
何？
こいつは俺の歌を聞いた。こいつの目はギラギラしてたぜ。
Just have the thought in my head that the only way to save the anime now is to do a close-up on its eyes and have like a green flame in the back and start playing the fight music from Hajime no Ippo.
I guess people like the performance so much that even with the cutout, it tells you how literally it tells you how deep these characters are. That you can put a cardboard cutout.
I don't know if I've ever brought this up to you, but I have something called the plank test.
Yeah.
Because of how little I liked the main character from Gundam 00. That if you could take plank from Ed, and Eddie, which is literally a plank of wood with a face drawn on it, and replace him with the character, then they're not a good character.
もしかしてやっぱりそうだ。ローレンスです。はぐれクジラの動きは角度が変わったぞ。非常事態だ。こうしちゃいられないぞ。
Let me ask you this. What's better, Macross 7 or Macross Dynamite 7?
Macross 7.
So I recently looked at a chart of the best Macross things, and they had this ranking better than Macross 7. I mean, I guess there's that element we discussed before that this is only 4 episodes.
間違いなくバサラの歌に反応している。やっ
ぱり知らないのね。
ああ、そうだな。もう長いことカボチャプラントで仕事をしてきたのに。
He's just being a tourist.
それが分かったよ。
Even the cats are marsupials and have pouches. It's earth animals with pouches.
I drifted off trying to figure out how that drink works. Because he filled the thing up, and then he puts it upside down, and it doesn't leak out. So it's like, is it a solid? Is it a jello?
現在外にいる方は至急室内に避難してください。パトロール隊からの緊急連絡です。できる限り速やかに室内へ移動してください。銀河クジラが地表へ来ます。銀河クジラ？
本当に知らないのね。たとえあなたが空に永住して私と結婚したとしても。
Also, having your emergency message delivered at the same cadence as the daytime drama that's also being projected on your radio.
一瞬何が何だかわからなかった。やがて完全な無と化したゾビの頭の中に空を行くカモメの姿がよみがえる。そのカモメの中に
Also, if you really want to, I mean, you could just harvest the whale. Well, it happens every 7,000 years, so I guess it wouldn't be profitable. But harvest the materials from the cemetery, right?
Depends on if those are like the same material.
Yeah.
その袋から顔を覗かせたゴリスが可愛いとゾリエットとは
Oh, I see what's happening. He made a copy of the Chiba thing, but it's not good enough. So that's what's coming out. That's why it's not working.
Right, they were still trying to decode the access thing to make it work.
いつでも撃てるぜ。
They kind of look like Centrati ships.
Maybe that's the inspiration in world for the proto-Devlin. I mean, the proto-culture designing the Centrati ships.
なんだあれは。
Or maybe there were space whales all over the place and they carved out their, you know, bodies to make ships.
It doesn't seem like way, but yeah. Right now, I'm not completely. I'm gonna say.
The idea of the world building is more interesting in my head than what I'm watching, so I'm just like delving in. Guess they're not dead in the cemetery.
すごい。信じられない数字だ。ローレンさん。
Off the charts.
熱いですきっと。
See, the thing is, you can't say it's off the chart. Also, show us the chart because
Yeah.
we see that they're not off of it.
反応弾発射。
密漁団の母船からミサイルが発射された。密漁団。
I'm just thinking, if you didn't dodge, they would have nuked themselves right in the face.
逃げて父さんバサラ。
やらせんな。
Yes, nobody could have done anything about it.
I literally thought something was going to happen. Looks going to be one of those things where the song shuts down power sources or something.
I guess yeah. If it.
I literally thought Graham was going to harpoon it and like hurl it back into space or something on the rope.
Yeah, that would have been too cool, I guess.
Or, you know, they showed Gamlin flying out. I thought Gamlin was going to, like, shoot it, intercept, or something.
Yeah.
I thought something was going to happen.
I mean, they can transform into robots and just grab it and try to fly it away. You know, do something.
But instead, we focus on cardboard cutouts. Now imagine that we could be watching a evil rampaging right now.
Yeah. When the kaiju is more interesting than this.
are getting the backstory of the kaiju about how it sees Mylene as its mother, or Sazabi feeding it Mylene songs as a baby.
They want more?
No, they're asking for more episodes of Encore.
She's done too.
They didn't pay me to not talk more. Sorry, I'm realizing the voice actress is getting like banked for nothing.
Oh, they killed it. Apparently. Oh, now he's Firebomber.
Well,
Because he's
red.
painted in the
painted,
red. Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't make your VF1 into a VF17. The paint
Actually,
job.
it's a, yeah.
やってくれるじゃねえかクジラ俺の歌を聴け
I think it is a VF17. Always been. Just another version of it.
Pretty sure they said it was a VF1. It was an old hand-me-down. Remember?
No,
'Cause
that
this
was
place.
that was the one that got destroyed originally because that was the one that belonged to Graham's wife.
This is Graham's wife's one. Oh no, you're right. That one does blow up. I don't remember where this one comes from.
全速前進だマルヒリ隊ポケット締めて働きやがれ出力全開だ
あれは天使の声
Because I have had no growth in the last 3 episodes. To be fair, he doesn't get played that much better in the manga. At least Gambling gets that one scene in the room where he's like, "We could just be together, Mylene." Again, though, we do get the fill-in that he's here on orders from Max, not just himself. I guess because technically Bazaar is still part of the military. So this whole Dynamite 7 is him deserting.
Of course, he won't get out.
Just to clarify, they were trying to ram it, right?
Yeah.
And just to clarify, they're only trying to kill it to make money off of its corpse, right?
Apparently.
So we're just killing yourself by ramming it. Help you in that?
Oh, he said his father was a whaler, blah, blah, blah. Last second and justification for it.
So I'm saying is the action is like cool for the screen, doesn't make sense for the character.
So Bazaar, stop singing. Whatever happens with his singing, he's gonna do or not do.
I appreciate that we couldn't get the songwriters back. So all we have now is wah wah wah. Oh. He's singing a thing the whale would be able to sing back.
Yeah, isn't this, yeah, you mentioned before, this is Star Trek 4? Yeah, the one with the whales? Yeah, it's 4. Yeah, 4.
Yeah, wait, Joe.
かった。クジラが。
Well, they've always been singing.
You know, I'm gonna admit something here. I'm actually amazed. I am amazed that Macross did not die with Macross 7. I guess this is just the state of 1990s anime.
Yeah.
Maybe Harmony Gold did a good job.
Sacrilege.
Look, they didn't bring this to America, because I think if this was in America, the market would have shriveled up.
Yeah. It's pretty. The visuals are nice.
Well, I think the thing is that what you would want from this, the final thing from Macross 7, is, you know, you want to be in love with the characters, right? It's the first Pokemon movie sort of thing, right? Is that we introduce everything and you want to feel attachment. But since the second thing that you did was show a rape scene, instantly on the back foot. And now I'm so thrown by that, and also you showed me an underage girl in Amila, or whatever the hell her name was. And it's like,
naked as well.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm already, that's half of your run. So now I don't know what to feel, and
I mean, I think that would have been cut out. At least, it wouldn't have gone to television. Certainly.
depends. Late 90s American imports was a fucking Wild West.
Yeah. So they jumped away.
But what about the ones on the planet?
They're dead. They sacrificed themselves to do that.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
They got turned into bones basically, and released their energy, and that's what allowed.
Yeah, that's
them
what I
to
was talking
become-
about, the green flame sort of thing.
Yeah. Which is nice as a background event. Oh, every so often the whales come in, some die, sacrifice themselves so the others can continue their journey. Okay, cool, I guess.
The problem
it's
is that
cool.
it was a visual spectacle and not a narrative.
Yeah. Graham gets to live?
不思議なくらいね。
ゾラのエネルギーを浴びたせいだ。
え？
多分君の言っている温泉もそうに違いない。
温泉？
バサラと一緒に入った
Yeah, it's green, like the flames.
おそらくその温泉とこの墓場は通じている。クジラとゾラのエネルギーは深く関わっているんだ。
あ、ローレンス？
ん？
あんたの言った通りだったね、クジラ。
And that's it.
ご協力ありがとうございました。ガムリン隊員。
いや、当たり前のことをしただけです。
Well, he got paid for the episode.
あんたの歌、よかったよ。
His voice was in it.
A sister, daughter.
クジラ、もう当分戻ってこないってさ。バサラの
Not in your lifetime.
大量のエネルギーを吸収したんだって。
Oh, they needed more energy so they could go farther, I guess.
密漁団は全員逮捕したよ。倒産以外は。
How about the fact that Graham is more developed than
ね
Amelia
どうしたあの時密漁団
from the movie?
借りを返した
借り？誰に？でもこれで父さんの無茶も終わりね。
ホアランス
Not in your life.
戻ってこないならこっちから追うまでだ
We might want to get a head start on that because
じゃあ
I get a head start on you.
好きにしろ。
So this is their way of saying we're gonna go into the journey after the whales and see the galaxy or whatever. Leaving their little sister behind, daughter, I guess.
Not daughter, because that's
Daughter.
already a
Well,
father and a daughter.
Yeah, well, sister to her daughter to.
歌いたきゃいつでも歌う。それが歌だ。
Oh, finally, he said.
No, that's what the timing of singing is. That's not what
Yeah.
singing is.
レンタル料はマクロスセブンのレイにつけといてくれ。おっさん、あばよ。またいつか会おうぜ。
まったくなんてやつだ。散々引っかき回して。
銀河には変なやつがいるもんだ。
No kidding.
気が合っちゃ
Let me tell you a little story about a guy named Roy Fuck.
お、ミレーヌじゃねえか。
ちょっとバサラちょっと
またな。あ、ミレーヌさん。
This is another case of fold boosters working perfectly, by the way. Also, yeah, I would say, where are they flying off to? Because neither Gamlin or Basara had a fold booster.
Yeah.
Just taking a long way back, I guess.
ダイナマイト。
So how do you know what
the
dynamite
final-
is, by the way?
The final, I guess he heard the song, I guess, on the karaoke radio. I don't know.
To be fair, she sings wah 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 better than Basara does.
Yeah. Do we have audio? Or is it me that?
Do you want audio?
No, I don't want to. To be
My
perfectly
question to
honest.
you.
Yeah.
Would that significantly improve your viewing experience?
Yeah, no, this was some people in some of the forums that was like, oh no, Macross Dynamite 7 is great. I'm like, okay. I
Yeah,
can't
well,
say I agree.
People also love Basara, so I don't. You know, the music was good up until Dynamite 7, of course, where we got wah 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 wah. That #1 hit. But, yeah, no, I mean, it ended the way. I don't know. I think they just all died in space. Well, obviously they
Yeah.
didn't because it was a fucking crossover, but where were they flying to? Because they didn't have a full booster to get back, and apparently the fleet isn't following them. The fleet's currently still being repaired.
It's a perfect cancellation of how I feel about Max 7. It's just you gotta, like I said earlier, you just gotta unplug and just take it as is. Either you like it or you don't.
Because the main series is full of little mysteries that build up into nothing. But they still are, the mysteries are still there. It's the juxtaposition of, hey, we're just going to sprinkle you with stuff that if you put it all together, will answer a question, but those questions won't be valuable by the end of the show.
Yeah, we don't care about it. Well, I didn't come Macross 7 with good expectations. I can't say that the show wowed me.
Yeah, Macross 7 was fine. Macross Dynamite 7 was shit. But then again,
Yeah,
like I said, we had a 30-minute thing of, you should read Macross 7 Mylene Beat. That's worth reading. I'll say this, it was drawn better than Macross 7 Trash. At least I feel like it was.
You finished Trash?
No,
Or
no,
didn't
I
bother
did the
finishing?
first chapter, but I mean, the first chapter is indicative of them trying to sell you, right? If
Yeah,
you
and it
can't,
didn't work.
yeah, if you like open the book up in the shop and you're like, this does not look great, you're not gonna buy it. It's literally your best foot forward. The panel I showed you with Akiko kicking Sazabi's ass, that's pretty indicative of of what it's like, except in the other ones they like do a lot of background shots and everything like that. And the problem I feel like with Trash and to a lesser extent, say like the Gundam 00 manga that I read, is that they do a lot of panels of just like white backgrounds with like nothing around, and that's
That's a
like,
waste of page.
yeah, I hate those. Yeah. So, Mylene Beat, read Mylene Beat, and don't watch Macross Dynamite 7 is my takeaway. The stuff that's happening off screen in Mylene Beat is this, and it's not worth watching.
Yeah, it's another disappointing ending.
In fact, you don't even have to read Mylene Beat. Listen to my description of Mylene Beat, and it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know where to go from here. There's no real takeaway from Dynamite 7. It's not even like the end of Macross 7, where it's like, okay, they've all crashed on the planet, and the Proto Devil have flown off outside of the galaxy, and Docker may or may not have his legs still. Like, Docker doesn't get shown in Mylene Beat, doesn't get shown here, obviously, so that question is still up for debate, because it kind of seemed like he got his legs crushed.
Yeah. But we do have top 5 episodes and our character rankings. So I suggest we go into them, unless you have something else to add.
Well, I was going to say, in a separate recording.
Yes.
All right, so I guess keep an eye out for that, boys and girls. And we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?